I'm Nancy Showalter, and you're listening to Spirituality for the Politically Incorrect podcast. Welcome, all radical paradigm shifters and creative change makers. You who dare to create a better life and a better world. Tap into the power that resides within you and use that power for constructive change. Hello and welcome to Awakening the Divine Within. In this series, we're going to explore some of the deeper spiritual questions that many people are quietly asking today. Questions like, why do so many people feel lost? Why does modern life feel so overwhelming? Why do people seem spiritually hungry even when they appear to have everything? And most importantly, is there something greater within us that we've forgotten? Today's episode is called Why So Many People Feel Empty Inside. And I think this is one of the great hidden struggles of modern life. Because if we're honest, a lot of people today are carrying around an emptiness they can't quite explain. They may have success and they may have great relationships, they may have possessions, entertainment, social media, endless distractions, and yet something still feels missing. There's often this quiet feeling deep inside that says, there has to be more than this. And I believe that feeling is real. In fact, from a spiritual perspective, I believe that emptiness is actually the soul trying to wake us up. Every human being contains a divine spark, a higher spiritual identity that is connected to God. But most people have lost conscious awareness of that connection. We've become very focused on the outer world, whether it be achievement or appearance, money, status, approval from others, or constant stimulation and distraction. But the soul itself longs for something deeper. It longs for meaning, for purpose, and for all those wonderful qualities, truth, love, connection, peace, and ultimately, whether we know it or not, our soul longs for reunion with its spiritual source. The problem is that many people try to fill spiritual hunger with external things. Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. There's nothing wrong with success or possessions or entertainment. But external things can never fully satisfy an inner spiritual longing. That's why people can accomplish all the goals they once thought would make them happy and still feel empty afterward. You know, we live in a world that constantly tells people if you just get the next thing, then you'll finally feel fulfilled. Whether it's the next relationship, the next achievement, or the next thing you buy, the next experience, the next level of success, whatever it is. But fulfillment keeps moving farther away because the real hunger is deeper than material life alone can satisfy. And I think many people today are beginning to sense this, beginning to wake up to it. That's one reason we see so much anxiety or depression, emotional exhaustion, and confusion, downright confusion, in society right now. People are spiritually disconnected from themselves. Many have lost touch with silence, with prayer, with reflection, with inner stillness, and with their own soul. And when that spiritual connection weakens, people often begin looking for escape instead of awakening. And we see this all through the news. Some escape through endless busyness, some through addictions, through entertainment, some through unhealthy relationships, or some through anger or emotional drama, and some just simply try to numb themselves emotionally. But underneath it all, the soul is still quietly calling out for something real. Humanity has forgotten its divine nature. We have forgotten that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not merely physical beings struggling to survive. Jesus hinted at this truth when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." That's a profound statement. It means that what we are searching for externally already exists, at a minimum in seed form, within consciousness itself. Now, that doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. We still have challenges. We still have emotions. We have struggles and lessons and growth. But when we begin reconnecting with the divine presence within ourselves, something changes. We begin feeling less empty, less disconnected, less lost. We begin realizing that our value does not come from external achievement or approval. It comes from the light of God within us, that divine spark. And honestly, I think one of the greatest tragedies in modern society is that many people were never taught this. We were taught how to compete, how to produce, how to survive, how to impress others. But we were never taught how to connect with our own soul. And so today, many people are spiritually starving while surrounded by material abundance. But the good news is that awakening can begin at any moment. Sometimes it begins through suffering, sometimes through loss, sometimes through a spiritual experience, and sometimes just simply through the realization that outer life alone is not enough. That realization is not failure. It's actually the beginning of awakening. The soul begins asking deeper questions. Who am I really? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? And is there something greater within me? I believe those questions are sacred because they begin opening the door to spiritual transformation. So if you've been feeling empty lately or disconnected or like something important is missing from your life, I want you to know you're not broken. You may simply be awakening to the deeper spiritual hunger of your soul. And that awakening can become the beginning of an entirely new journey, a journey back to the divine presence within you. Now, before we close today, I'd like to leave you with a simple reflection. Take a few quiet moments sometime today and still yourself, center within yourself, and simply ask yourself, what is my soul truly longing for? Not your ego, not social pressure, not what other people expect from you, but your soul. And then sit quietly for a few moments and listen, because sometimes the deepest spiritual truths begin in silence. Thank you so much for joining me for this first episode of Awakening the Divine Within. And until next time, remember, there is a divine light within you, and your soul was never meant to live disconnected from it. Thank you for being with me today, and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, download, and comment. I'd love to hear from you, and your support is much appreciated. And don't forget to go to theawakeningnow.com for free bonuses and information on my new book, You Were Born to Be a Christ, but You Were Taught You Are a Sinner. Awaken to who you really are. See you next week.